Alabama coming off of one of its best come-from-behind wins on the road in a long time, and the Tide's still alive for the SEC championship and the college football playoff, but it didn't look too good there for a while. We're going to get into that. Off week, I think it couldn't have come at a better time. That's Mike Johnson. I'm Mick Gillespie, brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. Let's get this show started. All right, roll Tide. There he is, Mike Johnson, the two-time All-American national champion at Alabama. And his old buddy, Mike Shula, who brought him to Alabama, was on the sideline for South Carolina. Mike, it felt like one of those old Alabama games with Shula.
Yeah, be careful, okay? I was in a lot of those games.
I'm sorry.
I got news for you, man. It felt like, well, let me think. I mean, is it not like this going all the way back to maybe like my red shirt year, maybe like 05? Every time we've played South Carolina has been like this.
No, they're tough, man.
Dude, it could have easily lost to him last year. I can't remember the time before that, but, you know, you obviously lost in 2010. Even when we beat him in 2009, I don't know if we scored an offensive touchdown until the very end of the game when Mark Ingram was in Wildcat. So
that's right, man.
I mean, dude, every single time you play South Carolina, it's just this slugfest. I don't know why it always ends up like that, but yeah, man, obviously good game plan by them. And you kind of knew going in it was going to be a tough one. And I'm just excited they were able to pull it out, man.
Yeah, I am too. All right, I guess let's talk good first, and then we'll get into the bad stuff.
Okay.
Obviously, the good is that they won the game. The other good is that they didn't quit, and things were not going their way, and they were not playing their best football. I mean, we could talk about all of that stuff, but let's just focus on the things that they had to do at the end of the game in a hostile environment. I don't know if you saw this, Mike, but the fans were going to actually run out on the field if they won the game.
Okay. I got to stop you right there and just tell you a quick story. All right. Went to a kid's Halloween party Saturday during the game. And there's a bunch of like 80 people there. All right. And then I see this guy that I've met, you know, once or twice in my neighborhood. And I remember he's a South Carolina grad. And he just kind of looks at me and he's like, "Hey, what's the score?" And I was like, you know, South Carolina came out 3-0. Bama returns an interception. Dude, him and his wife graduated from South Carolina. Me and my wife graduated obviously from Alabama. And then the host family is there. They're both Penn State people. And like, they're obviously ready for us to go home. It's past bedtime of all the children. Everybody else is gone. And me and my wife are sitting there looking at it, and the South Carolina guy is sitting there looking at it. And I'm like, bro, are they getting ready to rush the field? I was like, dude, what is going on? Are they about to try to rush the field? And he's like, yeah, I think so, man. And kind of like, you know, said it like, yeah, we're about to win the game. And then they didn't. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. Now you're past your kid's bedtime. Now you got to go home and lick your wounds off that. It's funny stuff.
What was the Mike Johnson probability for a win at that point? 8 down. We got to get a touchdown, 2-point conversion, and get the ball back.
Well, I don't know, man. It's hard to say because you know that I've said this. I've said all along, I felt like Bama. I said this since you beat Georgia. I've been saying this. I think Bama's got one more regular season loss, and then I think they can make a run after that. You know what I mean? I think a 10-2 Bama team can win an SEC title if they can still get there with a loss, and you know, go on a hot run. Like I just feel like it's been a lot to ask of them to just keep this heater. So even at the end of the game, I'm going, yeah, they might lose, but they might not, but they might. And the longer we stayed in the game, the more I was like, okay, they're going to pull this off. Like, you know, Ty Simpson's just too clutch right now. The guy is like, I mean, he's unbelievable. He's like, you know, mid 2000s Dwayne Wade in the finals for the Heat, dude. Like, it's just crazy. It's just inevitable. You just know it's going to happen. And he was good. He was good. And obviously there's, you know, some problems with the team and other aspects, but with Ty Simpson having the ball in his hands at the end of this game, I was like, okay, this is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. He's finding a way to win. And I think that's super impressive. right? I mean, and who does he remind you of, Ty Simpson? Is there a comp yet for you?
Bama comp or outside of Bama comp?
Just anybody.
I don't know. When the season started, I was telling people he reminded me of your boy Coker. I was like, man, he's kind of got that Coker feel to him. Yeah. I think he does. The problem is he doesn't have the running stable that Coker had, with him to be able to hand the ball off to. But the way he moves, the way he's able to move kind of outside of the pocket reminds me of that. But I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I just think he's very unique in the way he goes about his business, that eventually he's going to settle into being a pro-style quarterback kind of, when it comes to his future. But right now he is very athletic and does things kind of in his own way. So I don't know. I feel like you're saying that because you got somebody locked and loaded that you're like, let me let Mike know what it is that I think this guy is. I really don't.
Well, yeah, sorry. Coker thinks he's kind of like a Drew Brees type guy, because he's so accurate, gets rid of the ball fast. And I didn't do that perfectly this last game. I wish he was a little better on those deep passes, but
I mean, I'll give you a current pro comp right now. I think Drake May is playing a lot like him from the Patriots. Like, I think Drake May is like the MVP candidate, and he moves around like Drake May. He's mobile like Drake May, and Drake May has been lethal for the Patriots. And I'm only saying that because the Falcons are facing off with the Patriots this weekend up in New England, and it's not going to be good. So I think there's a lot of similarities in their game, the way they go about it right now. But as far as like career wise or what they were over a long span, I don't really have anybody for Ty Simpson just yet.
Right. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, Ty Simpson kind of making a name for himself, which is good.
Yeah.
And finding a way to win. Now, let's talk and let's talk defense, because before we start getting into all the things that they need to do better, the defense, this is 2 straight games where I think the defense has led this team to a win.
I agree. And you know what's interesting about that is you talk about the interception return. And you and I have talked about this. I've talked to some of my old teammates, Corey Reamer, who does the sideline, a couple of guys like that. And I've talked about listening to Roman Harper talk on SEC Network about the eyes of the secondary or the eyes of the defense, and how Kane Womack, coaches these guys to kind of keep their eyes in the backfield as opposed to their eyes on whoever they're covering or whoever their assignment is. And it drives guys like Roman Harper crazy. And Corey Reamer's the same way. He's like, dude, it's just nuts. You're not supposed to play defense like this. But I think there's a lot to be said against an opponent like South Carolina of like, dude, we can get one of these turnovers, and it could be a big turning point in the game. And they've been able to do that multiple times this year. Diego Pavia, another example, man. Like right there in the middle of that defense, right there in the red zone on Diego Pavia, you're able to jump a ball and jump a route by kind of keeping your eyes in the backfield. I don't think you want to make a living that way, but they're so opportunistic in the way they go about their business. And, I think that there's a lot of downside to kind of having your eyes in the backfield, but you saw some of the upside this past week, man. They are doing such a good job of triggering better on the perimeter and coming up and hitting blockers on some of the bubble screens and things like that, getting their hands on guys, turning players back to the inside of the defense, back to where your friends are. And so I'm with you, man. I've been very impressed. Not that I expected Mike Shula in South Carolina to have some kind of, offensive performance that was going to be for the ages. Mm-hmm. But I just do think that this defense is growing in a lot of ways that I wasn't sure they were capable of earlier in the year. Seen a couple of different rotation pieces, obviously because of injury and performance. There's been different players on the field, but yeah, man, they are playing a fast and physical brand of football. And you got to tip your cap to them, because I think after the Florida State game, and really the entire team, but after the Florida State game with the defense in particular, a lot of people were ready to kind of jump off ship there. And they've really risen to the occasion more times than not down the stretch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Guys, I want to tell you that we're brought to you by Bod Coach. I've mentioned this before. I love Bod Coach. I'm actually at a hotel right now. You like my setup? I'm bringing my setup with me now on the road, right? So looks like I'm at a press conference. But as soon as this is over, Bod Coach is going to give me a workout routine that's going to match whatever the gym is at the Marriott that I'm staying at right now. When I'm at home, it gives me that. It's like having my own personal trainer in my phone immediately. Hey, my wrist was messed up last week from doing push-ups because I'm so heavy. And I was like, all right, here, do it like this. And it sent me like a whole different routine to work the muscles that I wanted to work and kind of let my wrist get a break, which is feeling better right now. But anyway, you guys check it out, bodcoach.com/Bama. And I promise it's worth looking at. I think you'll like it, especially with, the holiday season coming and all that eating that we're all about to do, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. You're going to want to get a little workout in, try to curb all of that before it's too late. So check them out, Bod Coach. And we appreciate those guys so much. Really cool dudes, too, that run the company. All right, the bad stuff. Let's get right into the offensive line. I didn't think they had a terrible game, Mike, but they're getting beat on 1-and-1s. South Carolina's defense, it just seemed like there were a couple guys they couldn't block consistently throughout the game. That's my opinion. You may disagree, and if you do, you're right. I'm wrong. Your thoughts on it? What are you seeing right now up front with Alabama, and how can they get better?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think they were sustaining very well in the run game, and as evidenced by Jam Miller's output and everybody else being able to run the ball. I don't think that's a good sign. You remember? I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't remember. Do you remember them trying to block South Carolina last year and just getting absolutely destroyed up front against South Carolina's defensive line? And South Carolina did a good job of creating one-on-one opportunities where South Carolina would walk up, kind of double A gap mugs with linebackers or green dogs, kind of walk guys in and out. And when you're in 5-man protection so much, you can't set one guy and then he bails into coverage and then try to ricochet back and get another guy. That's not exactly what happened in this game, but I did see them do a good job creating one-on-one opportunities in pass rush. I think that, to be honest with you, I think Ty Simpson a little bit early, and I don't blame him, got a little bit happy kind of rushing out of the pocket at times. Some guys kind of got walked back into him and didn't keep the width of the pocket, but, not necessarily get beat here and there. But, yeah, as the game wore on, I thought the offensive line got beat to the interior a couple of times. And pass protection aside, and I know that's what a lot of people focus on, I'm just disappointed in the run game. I mean, I really am. I just feel like the surge you've gotten more times than not in the run game, the yardage should have been better because of the blocking. Like, the blocking's been okay, and then something will happen, like a tight end will get beat off the edge, or a bad read, or just a good run defense stunt, and all of a sudden it's like 0 yards. And this was not that. Like, I feel like at times the surge was just not there. You got stuffed numerous times on some of these one-on-one blocks, some of these double teams, and just really not a lot of room to run for Jam Miller. So that was frustrating for me. I thought really, in the Vanderbilt game for sure, a little bit before the injury in the Mizzou game, I just thought that this running game was kind of coming around, and to see it kind of wither like that, I think the run game is something you have to get situated if you're going to make a championship run. I think that, like, pass protection, it's going to come around. It's going to be in and out. You're going to go up against good pass rushers. If you're going to throw the ball 30 times a game, you're going to get beat once or twice, and there's 5 linemen. So what is that? 150 opportunities to get beat, or whatever it may be. But I think the run game for me, for the offensive line, was much more of an issue, and we've got to find a way to get that going. That's something you should be able to hang your hat on. And obviously, the kind of the way I was brought up in football, that's what it was. And that's really where I was kind of focused more on after the game.
Yeah, Shank made a good point on one of our shows. He's like, look, I love all the trick play stuff, but you got to be able to do the fundamentals, and it's like, and they've come up with a million trick plays, but the fundamental part of running the football, they're just not doing it right now.
Yeah, and I agree with that to an extent. I definitely agree with it, but here's what I will say. Sometimes when you have the trick plays in the bag, that makes it harder for them to defend the actual bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like, they're looking for the next thing. Like, they're looking for the motion, the fly motion, or whatever it may be, orbit motion coming around, these whip motions back and forth. And sometimes these linebackers all of a sudden are kind of keeping their eyes peeled and looking side to side, just waiting on the next trick play. And then that's when they get hit in the mouth. And I'm not saying that's what Bama's doing. I mean, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything, but I think it kind of has to work hand in hand. And I'd rather them have the trick plays than not have them. I mean, Lord knows I went on a tangent about the Falcons offense today. It's the most vanilla thing I've ever seen. Ever seen. They had 2 run plays. They have 2 run plays for the Atlanta Falcons with the best running back in the league, according to them, which, blows your mind that you have 2 running plays for the best running back in the league. So all that to say is kind of enjoy the trick plays. Don't let it consume you. Enjoy it. Enjoy the fact that they're there. Enjoy the fact. I don't even call them trick plays. I think they're gadget plays. trick plays to me is like this whole, like, I'm going to hide, the Statue of Liberty or whatever it may be. Gadget plays are where you're, setting your guys up in a different situation than we normally see. So, yeah, I mean, something to be said about that. I think Shank's not far off.
Well, I'll tell you this. They found a way to get it done, and they have won a gauntlet of games now, 5 in a row, where you look at it and you're like, man, that is – and then throw Wisconsin in there, like 6 games in a row where you're – against, good opponents. Some better than others, but there's a lot to be said at the perseverance that these guys showed, getting to the point where they get this off week, setting up the final run in position like they were last year to make the college football playoff. They've just been better and more consistent and more disciplined this year. I thought that they did a lot of those things going into this game, and then they didn't do them. They weren't as disciplined this time, made mistakes, dropped the ball, didn't block as good. But at the end of the day, they picked each other up. And, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what's on the scoreboard at the end of the game, because you're not always going to have your best. It's just the way it works, and you find a way, man. And hey.
I gotta ask you this question, Mick, because this was presented to me and I didn't know the answer. Like, do you feel better right now if you're an Alabama fan, or maybe a Georgia fan? It's another good one to throw in there, or an Ohio State fan? Like, Ohio State, all the talent in the world, just picking off win after win after win after win, but not really being challenged all that much.
Right.
Whereas you look at an Alabama or a Georgia, one of the teams along those lines that have taken a loss and have been challenged and have had to kind of fight and claw and have had to scratch and come back for wins and things of that nature. Now, does that, mean these teams have flaws? Absolutely. I think Bama's a flawed team in some ways. Like, it's not, you don't see it just methodically happen all the time. There's 3 and outs, there's punts, there's miscommunications, there's all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think also by the time you get to the end of the season and we're getting closer and closer, you'd rather have a team that's kind of had their back against the wall. Maybe Ohio State just runs all the way through, and 16 games they'd have to play nowadays if they want to win the title. Maybe they're able to do that the way they did last year. Or maybe it's another loss to Michigan that kind of straightens them up. I don't know. But I just think that there is something to be said about a team that's battle-tested, and to where you can look in the backfield at Ty Simpson and know that he's going to make these plays. You just look at him and you're like, he just feels inevitable. That he's going to be able to make throws in crunch time and pull your team out on top. So, I don't know how you feel about that, but I thought that was kind of a good point.
Yeah, I feel like Ty is that guy that waited his turn and no one can say anything about it. No one in the locker room can question his dedication. No one in the locker room can question his work ethic. And that's what you want in leadership. You got there, when you're the captain of the team, the guys vote you captain. Some of that is ability, right? You got to be good, but some of it's that you put the work in and that everybody looks at you and respects what you do every day. And I think Ty's there. And it's like, when your captains are the hardest working guys and they're the fearless guys, I think that leads the rest of the team to know that that's the way we got to play. So I think that's exciting about what Ty Simpson's doing right now. Forget about all the Heisman talk at Alabama. We appreciate that stuff, but it's all about winning at Alabama.
I couldn't agree more. There's just certain things about this program right now that feel really good, and they should. And there's gritty victories, and you come off that Florida State when everybody's saying, will Coach DeBoer make it through the year? And Ty Simpson really. I'm not going to give him every ounce of credit, but just from where we're sitting, he just grabs the bull by the horns. He gives the tunnel speeches, and he stands in front of the media now and delivers these messages like he's talking to the entire team at the same time he's talking to the media. And he talks about, staying focused and staying the course and everything that kind of comes along with that. Man, he's been a pleasure to watch. He really has. I know that we may only get him for 1 year. I think his stock is through the roof. I hope Bama fans are enjoying it, man, because players of that caliber with that mindset in that position, they just don't come along that often. And it's been wild to watch.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else too, talking about quarterbacks. I saw a video, Kyle Henderson posted it on his channel. he's talking about the end of the game. Keelan Russell's talking to one of South Carolina's coaches, and Kalen DeBoer comes over and breaks up the conversation, takes him back in. Don't think that Alabama didn't notice that South Carolina was playing with some of our guys from last year.
Yeah.
And don't think they like that. And I saw that video. I was like, get him out of here. We don't need him talking to these guys.
Isn't it weird how that rolls? Like, yeah. I mean, isn't it like you're Lane Kiffin was asked last week about a guy inside the Ole Miss program, and he was like, he's just really good. He's going to be really good for us. And then he's like, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't say that, like maybe I shouldn't put that out publicly that I think a lot of this kid, because the minute you do, he's just getting snapped up and taken to a different program. It boggles the mind that that's where we're at right now in college football. It really does. Like it's insane. It's insane.
Well, there's no rules. I mean, there's absolutely no rules at all. That's why they did the year. If you transfer within the conference, you sit out a year, to keep that kind of stuff from going on, like we have caps on the NIL, but we really don't. And teams like South Carolina, are going to come in and try to take the depth that you're building at Alabama. But if Alabama, you're going to go try to take their best players from them. So it is a two-way street, But there's a couple guys that Alabama had that would have liked to have had on their team playing for South Carolina, and I'm sure that Kalen DeBoer is very protective of Russell because that's the future quarterback for him, and that's the guy that I think that they feel like is going to be the successor to Ty Simpson at some point.
Well, let's be clear. And this is going to be something you or maybe Bama fans don't want to hear. These three quarterbacks are not going to be on the roster next year. And I would argue that two of the three quarterbacks are not going to be on the roster next year. Yeah. That's just how it rolls. Like, if Keelan Russell thinks that Austin Mack is going to be the starting quarterback, you're going to have probably somebody at LSU throwing boatloads of money around, probably somebody at Florida throwing boatloads of money around, not to mention, the likes of Penn State. Whatever else job comes open, you're going to have boatloads of money and cash being thrown around, and these agents are all going to be meeting with all these boosters and everything else. So it's going to happen. You know what I mean? You have to kind of make a decision earlier nowadays on a quarterback's future and make sure that you give them an opportunity to play very quickly if you feel like they are ready to play. Or else, you both could be looking for a new landing spot. And so, it's the nature of the beast.
And then look at Kalen DeBoer. All the players that transferred from Washington with him have been great. They're some of the best players on the team. Cuevas, unsung hero. Bernard, best player on the team. Brailsford is great. I mean, you start going down that list, you're like, man, these guys, the coaches know who they want to roll with them, right?
Well, and I'll go one step further. And we've talked about this a little bit, touched on it. We've fully made the transition in this program from a coach-led program. Don't get me wrong. We've had some great leaders over the years, but you always knew that the message was coming from Nick Saban. And now you had that bumper year last year where it was like, all right, who's in charge here? Jalen Milroe, kind of, who's the guy out in front? So now it's like Kalen DeBoer's like, dude, let Ty Simpson be the face of the program. Like, just you take it from here, man. And Ty's not one of the Washington guys, but I think you see the same things in Jordan Bernard and Brailsford and Cuevas, like you're talking about. It's like these players come to the forefront because they know what to expect out of the coaching staff. It's not like you can look back at Washington and the way they operated with Michael Penix and everybody else and Roma Dunze and, Braylon Trice and everybody else they had up there. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's what they were at Washington. They were player driven and player led. And eventually, and I think it's actually healthy for the program, eventually that's what Kalen DeBoer is trying to pull out of a lot of these guys. And I think that those Washington guys are, kind of evidence of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Guys, a couple things I want to tell you. First off, hit that QR code right there, AveD. That's Mick Nation. That is where you get to put your bets down, and it's free. I mean, it's not like real bets, but you get to pick games and parlays and all that kind of stuff. We give away weekly cash prizes, and then, of course, tailgate show gear. Plus, we got tickets coming up, too. I just got confirmation that we're going to give tickets away to one of the Final Four games. We already did that with Wisconsin. We're going to do that again. So be part of Avenue D. Hit that QR code. It's all free. It's fun. Also, the hats have arrived. And so we got some of those to give away. And I got to get you your stuff, man. You know, I got Shank his. You got to send me your address, though. You didn't send me your address. I asked you for that.
You are just this, bro. The Kenyon Drake trophy, the Hawaiian shirt, the hats. I don't even believe you anymore when you talk like this. It's not even believable. Man. The joke's on me. The joke is on me now. I can't even fault you anymore because I know that I'm the one that keeps falling for it. Got egg on my face.
Hey. Speaking of Daniel Moore, promo code Bama Tailgate. If you want oh my God, you got me choked up. You want the Kenyon Drake print? Hey, 20% off with that promo code Bama Tailgate. How about the crispy screen? Got that one right there. Offensive lineman running the ball. How about this one right here? Ryan Williams doing his thing and that immaculate reception against Georgia. There's one right there. I love this one of my favorite games when LSU thought that they were going to beat Alabama, and we didn't even get the ball past the 50-yard line. There's Coker's print right there. We got to put your print in there. You're on one of these prints. You got to sign it. What was that like?
I got first of all, it's a long day. I'll just put it that way. I think I signed like 3,000 of them or something like that. Just threw the earbuds in and just went to town. But during the middle of signing the 2009 National Championship one, which there was a picture of a pancake block I had on Sam Acho. But during the signing of that one, I looked up on the wall and I saw one from 2008. It was, we beat Auburn for the first time in 6 years. And I was like, hey, I think I'm in that picture. And I was like right next to Antoine Caldwell. And, Daniel Moore being the gracious human that he is, he was like, hey, man, why don't you take that one home too? I was like, all right, now we're talking. Now we're cooking. And
that's awesome.
They're up on my wall right next to the ones that I have of Mike Shula and the ones you're talking about, the 2015 national title print and a couple other ones.
Yeah. You and I watched that 15 game together, man. It was a great experience. Daniel Moore's a good dude, man. I'll tell you that. Outside of being the greatest artist in Alabama history when it comes to sports prints, I mean, he's just a great dude. They've been an awesome partner. So now you got an off week for this team, and they're playing LSU. I don't know if you saw this yet, but LSU fired their coach, and he's owed like $50 million. What is going on, man? It wasn't that bad there, was it?
I have heard from multiple people now that LSU is trying to buy this down. I don't know how that's possible. I have no idea how that's even possible. I don't know if there's something behind the scenes we don't know about. I've heard from at least 3 people that are not tied to one another that they're going to try to buy this down south of $30 million. Jeez. Which, okay. Now, here's my problem with what's going on at LSU. Where is it that you think you're going here? What turn do you think you're going to make? You add this, the news comes out of the weekend that Steve Sarkisian's open to leaving Texas and going to the NFL. Okay, cool. That automatically would put LSU in second place. I would argue that LSU and Florida, LSU's probably got the edge on that one. Florida probably beneath that. But I'm not sure what hire you're making at LSU. You can't go middle-aged Midwestern coach again. You just can't. You can't hire some of those guys. I also saw Peter Burns from SEC Network. He puts out LSU should throw the bank at Nick Saban, not to coach, but to lead the search committee, that Nick Saban should just do that for millions of dollars and help them find a coach. What good does that really do? I mean, I think that Nick would be great. Nick's going to go in there. He's going to figure out what your plan is for the X's and O's. But Nick can't give locker room speeches for you, man. He can't make sure the players are practicing hard on Tuesdays. I don't think Brian Kelly was the guy. The timing of it is what throws me off. Where are you going next with some of the moves you're going to make? And, I keep hearing the craziness of dude, they might hire Jimbo Fisher, which just sounds nuts to me. They're going to make a run at Lane Kiffin and try to pay him $14 million a year. I don't think Lane fits there, but, maybe it is what it is. And then you start looking at the younger guys like Summerall at Tulane or even a Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know that any of those guys kind of light the world on fire for you. So, there's all these names kind of floating around. Joe Brady, who's, been at LSU and is a coordinator for the Buffalo Bills now. Sure. Like, I don't know, man. It almost is crazy to me that the three coaches before Brian Kelly actually won national titles there. And Brian Kelly's tenure has to end like this, but it had gotten stale and it was a rough go for sure.
Yeah, I will say this publicly. I was absolutely wrong about Brian Kelly at LSU. I thought he'd be a really good coach.
I was too.
I thought he had done an excellent job everywhere else he's been, but people just felt like his style just doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't. And that's the thing is
old school guy.
You and I both agreed. Like, I think we both talked about it at the time. Brian Kelly's going to be a good hire, but I think the game has changed so much in that time.
Yeah.
That it's like he couldn't evolve with it. His personality doesn't mesh well. And I actually saw Damian Harris, obviously former Bama running back, talking about this, and he said, like, he thinks that the players at LSU can see through Brian Kelly. Like, it's, they know it's all an act, or it's a recruiting effort, or it's an attempt to buy over the fan base. And I agree with that. Like, I think that you do all these things, and Brian Kelly has that iron fist, and it just doesn't work when you're trying to retain players at the clip and do all the things that you have to do to kind of keep players involved in the program. It's just a different day and age.
Could be, like you said, the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes, because you keep hearing Florida and you keep hearing LSU. I'm still not sure, like, why he's so sought after. I mean, I know he's done a good job at Ole Miss, but he really hasn't won anything. I guess as a coordinator he has, but as a head coach, this is the first time he's ever really had a program going in the right direction and had been pretty stable. And maybe that's what it is. They're looking at it and they're going, hey, he is fun. He dominates the social media. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth. But to pay $54 million and then have to go ahead and pay him a giant contract, then whatever money you got left, to pay for players. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's a great investment. I just think that some of these firings are weird. And then the other thing is this: what if LSU just went and got Billy Napier from Florida? Maybe it was just a bad fit there. Because remember, Napier was at Louisiana. And he did a great job.
Mick, stop.
No chance, huh?
No, I mean less than a chance. As a matter of fact, I would say there's a better chance that you would take James Franklin at Florida than Billy Napier at LSU. Like, you're not going to fire Brian Kelly with $50 million buyout to go get somebody that Florida just threw the curb. That's not going to happen. There's a much higher probability that Jimbo Fisher lands there. That's the same AD that hired him at A&M to begin with. So, I don't know, man. Here's what I'll say. I think the thought of Lane Kiffin is intriguing to certain programs because of what they are offensively.
Yeah.
Look at what LSU's been on offense, dude. It's just bad with a lot of talent. Look at what Florida's been on offense. It's just terrible with a lot of talent. I think you look at what Lane does, more with less at Ole Miss, and you're like, dude, this could work out. Here's another name. Let me see how you feel about this. Who was on Brian Kelly's staff at LSU was Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. I wouldn't rule that one out either. I think that's a solid hire. He's obviously got things pointed in the right direction up there. He'd need his staff and find a quarterback, but he's a guy that I think has a lot of interest.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting because you're like, you know what? It would be the right time to get out if you were Clark Lee.
100%.
You did everything you can possibly do at Vanderbilt.
Yep.
And and they're still in the mix. They won a bruising contest against Missouri. I think if Missouri's quarterback didn't get really hurt like that, I think that Missouri probably wins that game. But now they go to Texas with Diego. A real interesting game with.
What's the line on that, man? What's the?
I don't know. Well, let me transition because I wanted. Okay. This is perfect right now, guys. I want to talk to you about Kelce. I love Kelce. We have so much fun with Kelce. It's basically it's the first and largest federally regulated prediction market in U.S. history. Right? It's approved by the CFTC, and it's not a sports book. It's an exchange. And so it's kind of like a stock market of of basically opinions, right? Legal in all 50 states, better odds, no limits, live trading, flexibility, transparent pricing, and it's far beyond sports. And it's a lot of fun too, because I love it when we get on here and start talking about what the prediction market is, right? Like the presidential election, people bet during the election. You see it going up and down. So let me start with Texas hosting Vanderbilt, because you can predict that on there. And what do you think, Mike? And then I'm going to throw it up on the screen.
I mean, I just think Vanderbilt is a better team. I know Texas had a couple comeback wins in overtime the last couple of weeks against, the great teams in Kentucky and Mississippi State. I just think that Vanderbilt's good teams always beat talented teams, man. And Vanderbilt's a good team, dude. They just have figured out ways to win. Unfortunately, I do think that like the wheels have to fall off at some point for Vanderbilt.
Right.
And they're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore, but man, Texas is just so dysfunctional for a lot of different reasons.
Well, there's the Kelce prediction market. Texas right now with 55% to 45% thinking Vanderbilt. So basically $116,000 has been put on this particular market, and it's switched a couple of times. Like at one point on October 21st, it was 76 to 24 people putting their money on Vandy.
Yeah.
And then it just it switched on the 21st, and here we are on the 27th, and Texas is, where the money is now. The biggest it was 83% of the money went to Texas in October, but now I guess getting closer to the game, I think people probably feel like a little bit like maybe Vanderbilt, just kind of looked like in that game against Missouri, they're getting ready to go, they're getting ready to fall off. Like maybe teams have figured them out. They don't have the depth. And Texas, you're right. Texas is going to have more talent, but they may not have Arch Manning. And I think some people feel like that could help them.
Yeah, I mean, I used to talk about this when I was coaching high school ball, man, is that if you're less talented, you have to be the team that's willing to fall on your face. And I mean that literally. Like, you have to be willing to dive at somebody's chest and willing to fall on your face. Whereas Texas is trying to, get in the framework and run the feet and all that. No, dude, you had to be willing to try to spear somebody out of the way. Like if you're going to be outweighed by 50 pounds. And that's what Vanderbilt is. They are willing to fall on their face on any given play to try to gain 4 yards. And a lot to be said about that. And it goes back to what we said about Clark Lee. He's got those guys playing a really tough brand of football. Yeah,
I think that's – well, look, you're talking about Drinkowitz, you're talking about Lee. Outside of Lane Kiffin, those two guys are going to get opportunities because they've taken lesser programs and they've made them relevant, actually better than some of the programs that are spending a lot more money. And I think that's one of the reasons why, that they're going to be sought after. So, all right, next one. Let me throw another one up here for you. The number 2 most searched person on Google this year. This is a tough one for you, Mike. Could be a sports person. Could be
Taylor Swift.
Okay. You say Taylor Swift, huh?
Yep. Going with
let me throw it up here. Actually, right now, and they haven't. We still got months to go, but it is Pope Leo, 17%. Elon Musk 12. Donald Trump 11. Taylor Swift though is in the top 5. Just below Kendrick Lamar at number 9, and she's down a slot.
Had I been able to I would have thought that Trump would have been 1, Swift would have been 2. I didn't really think about Pope Leo, but I think Googling somebody means that there's interest in uncertainty about who they are, right? Maybe at this point, most people know who Donald Trump and Taylor Swift are. So like maybe Pope Leo, it's like, I don't even know much about this guy. Let me go Google.
Who is this dude? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to remember, this is the number 2 person. Right. So
right.
And the year has to end before the answer to this. Right. It's an ongoing thing. So a lot can change. which we all know Donald Trump, but do we, expect that he's going to pop back up again with something else? So,
right.
But yeah, pretty interesting. All right. Now the final one I want to ask you today, kind of along those same lines, is, and not a whole lot of money's been put on this one yet, right?
All right.
15,000 so far. Will Elon Musk visit Mars in his lifetime? 90. Yeah, you tell me what, and then I'll get into this.
I think I have to say, yeah.
I mean,
how old is he? He's 50 something.
I don't know. He seems like he's been there already.
I was
like
he's at least tried to get there already. I would say
right.
that.
Like there's something about this guy. Like I feel like maybe he's a time traveler, or
he's tried to visit a few different dimensions.
He's coming up with these inventions, and
he's traveled down to Machu Picchu and gotten the bowl going. Yeah, the ayahuasca.
Maybe this one's already been solved.
Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, he seems hell bent on doing it. I would say he's got another 20-year window ahead of him before he just physically can't. So right. I would say, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if like 20 years from now, the storyline is like Elon Musk is going to die on Mars. Like he's casted off. He's shoved off from shore, in a boat that has no engine, and he's just paddling off to the point of no return. And he's just like, you know what, man? I'm gonna go out there and establish this colony. I'll send you a signal when I get there.
Yeah. You're in the vast minority on this one. 93 cents. Well, really, 9 out of 10 feel like he'll never get there. So 10% chance that he gets there. I think that for him to get there, obviously that's one of his goals. Is they're going to have to figure out a way to change the way that they propel ships into space, because rockets aren't going to get them there. So they're going to have to bend gravity and do some of the stuff that you read about in these sci-fi channels.
Interstellar.
Yeah, right. Because or a portal or something. The entire idea that and this is a whole nother show, but there's a lot of us that don't think that we even got to the moon. They can't do it now, but they did it in 1969. And then now we're going to try to get to Mars. Hey, let's just try to get to the moon first for real. Let's go back.
What are we doing, Mick? This is it.
This is what Kelsey brings to the table.
The Jupiter Tailgate Show.
All right, Kelsey.com, promo code Bama Tailgate, $10 free when you sign up using our code Bama Tailgate, and you trade $100, and it's fun. I've had other people slip into my DMs and tell me that they like when we do this just because it's so funny. It's just you just get into this stuff outside of sports, but it shows that we're multidimensional.
Sure. Yeah, that's what it is.
We can do this. All right. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, Mike. I know you cover the Falcons. You do a morning radio show. You're all over the place in Atlanta.
Yeah, man. At MP Johnson 79 on the Twitter. You can find the info there, but we're on Sports Radio 92.9 A Game in Atlanta, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. And obviously the Atlanta Falcons radio network pre and post game shows, man. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but a couple big ones coming up against the Patriots and then on to Germany to play the Indianapolis Colts. So, just two of the best teams in the NFL. I'm sure things will get better really soon for the Falcons.
Well, Mike, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you need a vacation after all of this football, Residence Inn by Marriott Ocean City. Get away and head over to Ocean City. Great seafood right there on the water. Look at those sunsets. You got the boardwalk, Secrets, which is just one of those fantastic beach bars, and always music festivals and art festivals and all of that stuff right there in Ocean City. Our friend Keith runs the place, and he loves it when those Alabama folks head up there and hang out with him at Residence Inn by Marriott. Show's always presented by Pearl River Resort in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham, the Azaleas, the Oaks. Amazing time of year to golf just because it's cooled down. You're going to want to go do that and then head over to the Timeout Sports Lounge, maybe put some money down on Bama to win it all. Basketball is starting to get going. Tide's going to have another good team there, like what Nate Oates is doing. But they got you covered at Timeout Sports Lounge. Philip M. Steakhouse is great. And we obviously are looking forward to being down there. Jake Coker and I will be middle of the month. So we'll see you down there in November. But thanks for hanging, guys, and roll Tide.
I may not suit up on Saturdays anymore, but I'm still in the game.
Let's roll.
In here, I call the plays, make adjustments, and lay it on the line. Want to feel that fire, that rush? Then you've got to get in the game. I used to say it in the tunnel, and I still say it now. Let's roll.